So first of all, the title of this class is to build your mini content system. We're going to take an idea and we're going to turn it into a lead in 60 minutes. So I'm going to show you what that process is going to look like, because a lot of times when people have their businesses or they want to have a personal brand, they think that they don't have time. And the truth is that it's not about the time, it's about the strategy. So this is more like a workshop. So we're going to help you create a strategic content system that converts. What does convert mean? Well, it means that you want people to take an action, whether it's buy a product, give you their email, like a video, give you a comment. What action do you want people to take when they watch your content or when they read some of the information that you're putting out there? So in this session, we're going to learn how to transform one single idea into multiple high converting posts across different platforms using real examples from real businesses, okay? I'm going to mention some things about like a coach, for example, but this can apply to any business that you can think of. And the platforms that I'm referring to include emails, videos, long form and short form, social media, even Substacks and newsletters, anything like that. So we're going to build a simple organic content system that takes one idea and we're going to turn it into posts, stories, even emails that are going to lead to real conversions. And this is the strategy that I use with coaches, SaaS founders. SaaS means software as a service. So that is, if you're signed up to a website and they're giving you some type of service, that is a SaaS company. So I've worked with SaaS founders, I've worked with authors, I worked with real estate agents, other types of businesses, and they don't want to spend hours creating content or chasing leads. So you're going to walk away with a repeatable content system that you can use every week. And I'm going to show you a video as well so that we can take a look at that. Oh, wait 1 second. All right, here we go. All right, so today we're going to dive deeper, okay? And this is important. I had a client come to me and said, listen, I'm posting every week on all the social media platforms and I'm showing up, but nothing is happening. People are liking my comments or my posts. I'm engaging with people, but they're not buying. And I knew exactly what was going on because I've seen it many times, not just with this client, but other people as well. And the issue is not about consistency. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're not going to get results. You need to change what you're doing if you want to get the results. So it wasn't about the quality that was her problem. It was definitely not the algorithm, because the algorithm has gotten really smart. And I'm talking about Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. The algorithm is getting better and better every day, and it's understanding what we're posting and sending it to people and sharing it with people that like this stuff that we're posting. That's why my feed is always going to be different than somebody else's, even if they're interested in similar things. So it's anything that you engage with, it's going to be an important message to the algorithm to say, okay, this person is interested in this. So it's not the algorithm, it's us. It's the strategy. There was no structure to move people from interest to action, okay? And this is why I created the system, something that I've used with lawyers, with coaches, and people that I've mentioned, because it's a simple framework that you can use every week to turn one idea into content that builds trust, shows authority, and gently leads to your offers. So it's not about doing more, it's about doing the right things. And instead of chasing trends or staring at a blank screen, you know exactly what to say, you know why it works. And we're going to cover why most content doesn't convert and how to fix it. We're going to talk about this mini content system and different post types that are going to help you to have a repeatable process. And we're going to talk about a live demo where I'm going to show you exactly how that works. And we're going to have the Q&A as I mentioned, okay? So a quick recap that we talked about organic marketing or attraction marketing is when you actually post things on different types of social media, but also when you get people to join your email list, because that's where you're going to get your highest ROI. When you actually own the emails, because as you know, anytime social media platforms can kick you out, for no reason at all. They can say, okay, I don't like this post and we're going to ban you. And it's their right. We're actually borrowing their audience. It's not our audience. So the way it works when organic marketing, and this is part of the last class, but I will just do a quick summary, is you're actually attracting the right people by posting different videos, reels, posts, articles, or Substacks. Substack is a type of a website where you go in and you basically you post a blog, and it's kind of like a social media platform for bloggers. So you're attracting them because you're posting the right content and you're bringing them into your world to collect their email addresses. And in those email addresses, you're able to then share more direct information and as much value as you can possibly get so that they connect with you and your content. So that's basically organic marketing. There's no paid advertising involved. There's nothing in here that we are gonna use with money. We're not boosting posts at all. We all we're doing is we're gathering information and we're gathering the data from our audience, getting them to sign up for our emails, sending them information about our offers and our value. Okay. So with that in your back, in the back of your mind, um, if you go back to the question that I shared with you, why is my content not working? Why is nobody liking my posts? Well, a lot of times business owners say that I'm going to post something, right? Because they think in their mind that it's going to convert. But that content comes from their mind, not from the market, not from the research. So it's not that the content is bad, it's just not strategic. And most creators skip this research phase and they just jump into creation. That's like designing a product without knowing what the customer really wants. And the result is that the content can look good, but it can get no traction because you can build the most beautiful tower in the world, but if people don't want it and it's not usable, then it's not going to give you any results. You're not going to be able to make any money out of that, right? So ask yourself, what is the strategy? What is my goal? And then work backwards. That is going to create an invisible funnel that you're not going to be able to see. But when you skip the first two steps, you don't know where you're going. It's like a GPS driving without direction. So if you have a GPS and you want to go somewhere, you're going to put the address because that's where you want to head. That's where you want to go. But if you don't have the address, then how do you know where you're going, right? So it's important that we have the strategic content, which is the content that is going to drive the results, and work backwards. And then start the research phase to understand what does your audience want? What do they need? What are some of the things that you can bring to your audience so that it's actually something that they're going to want to see, right? And then you can go into the creation phase. So a lot of people skip these two steps and they go straight into the creation step. So you have to really start and see what is it that I'm going to do and I'm going to bring to my audience. Okay. Again, if you guys have any questions, you can post them in the chat and we'll answer them at the end. So here's the fix. Audience first messaging. What does that mean? Well, we're putting our audience first. And the way that you do that is when you have a client calling you, and or if you don't have a business, you can talk about the markets and things that people have been noticing and people that have been um, saying about the specific topic that you're covering. So for example, if you are a brand and you're sharing content about you and your life, see what other people similar to you are already doing. So when you have a client calling you, like what are they asking you over and over again? So if they're asking you about the usage of the product or the service, the information about how this works, the process, then you know that that's something that people want to hear about, right? In the DMs, what are they hesitating about? What are they sharing with you? Because if you remember when we talked last class, we talked a lot about sending people messages on the DMs. And if you don't know how to do that, all you have to do is click message. On Instagram, you can message people every time. LinkedIn, most of the time you can message people in a private setting. And obviously we want them to give us their email address, right? In different ways. So what are they hesitating about? What are they sharing that you can say in the DMs, right? to be able to get more information from them. Comments. What topics spark the most discussion? The comments are not just in your personal feed and in your content, but also in your competitors' content, in other people that do similar things that you're doing. Even if you have no followers, no comments, you can go to other people and see what are people talking about and what is sparking the most discussion so that you can get ideas from this information. And they're all going to be validated in the research phase that I'm going to show you. You want to look for repeating pain points, emotional phrases or metaphors, or objections. I don't have time. This won't work for me. Things that people are saying all the time. And you can use a sticky note system and you can have different buckets. And sometimes, if you hear people talking and you pay attention to them, they're going to fall into one of these four buckets, or one or two or even more. And these are just some examples of buckets that you can have in your marketing. So a connection content is a relatable story or beliefs that build trust. So it can be anything that sparks that connection. And that's important because, as we mentioned, establishing trust nowadays is very, very different, very hard, because there's so many people out there that have been, let's say, burned before, and we don't even know what's real. Even with AI, we don't know what's real, what's fake. So you want to make sure that you're connecting with people, and these relatable stories or beliefs that build trust are very important. So if somebody is telling you something that is going to spark that connection, grab a sticky note system, put in the connection bucket. Authority content, short actionable tips or frameworks that position you as the expert. These are things that you know about your product or your service that bring people in to show you that you are indeed the authority in this service, right? So when somebody says that, oh, that's interesting, I never thought about it that way. Or, oh my God, that's awesome. This is great information. Put it into a sticky note system, because if it resonated with one person, it's going to resonate with others as well. Then you can have offer content, because we're all here to make money, right? Marketing is the means to get your connect with your audience, and obviously to also serve, but also to make money. So offering content is a subtle or a direct way to guide someone to work with you. If you're talking to people on DMs and they're telling you about information about, for example, oh my God, I don't know how to connect with my audience. Oh, it's interesting you mentioned that. I'm actually running a workshop tomorrow or next month or whatever that talks exactly about that pain point. So you can use that and stick it into your sticky note system as well to drop it in there. And also case studies. It could be a relatable case study where you show something or someone what you've done for a client to build credibility. That obviously also brings in more authority and allows you to be more in touch with what your people are saying. So where do the messages fit in, right? And there's obviously others, but you have to see what works for your industry. I'm only going to be talking about these four types, but there are other types, like other types of stories that maybe you want to share, not necessarily a case study, but someone who was afraid to work with you because something happened and they worked with somebody else. And then they found you. Like it's not a case study because it's not a relatable information about what happened after they worked with you, but it's an important story that you might want to have, or an example, or a point of view. POV means point of view. And these are just examples of one type of content that each industry will have its own. But if you look at those content pillars, you're going to see how to put your audience first and how to use audience first messaging. And we're going to validate this in the next, in the research phase. Okay. Okay. I see some people coming in. So welcome. I hope you can catch on to what we are talking about. Okay. So here, let me show you an example of the pain point that we identify. Let's say we have a coach who they always hear, oh my God, I don't know what to post. This is, let's say, a coach that is in the, let's say, the wellness space or something like that. So they created a series of content directly addressing that with a call to action or a one-to-one session. And they're actually going to book a one-to-one. How? Well, it's because they're finding what strategic content is going to really go back to this post right here. I don't know what to post. They're going to create a series of content that directly addresses that pain point. And we're going to back it by research as well. And then obviously there has to be a clear call to action and measurable results. Booking 2 calls from a story in a post combo. So this example is how identifying a specific recurring pain point and addressing it directly with strategic content can lead to immediate business results. Okay. So for example, let me show you another example that we can talk about. The somebody who is in the wellness space. What's something that people are always talking about? Losing weight, right? So if you go in there and you tell somebody you need to lose 100 pounds, that's really not going to work for people, because what are they always saying? I just need to start. I just need to get to the gym. So getting that pain point identified, you have to really listen to your audience and then create that strategic content so that you can have them. The clear call to action is a one-to-one session, is to join your boot camp, whatever it is. Okay. So I'm going to show you in the next slide the mini content system framework on how do you really put all of this together. Okay. This is the 3-part system that I kind of built with my clients. Okay. And this is really very basic, but it really goes a long way. First, there's connection, right? What is the purpose? You want people to say, oh my God, that's me. You want people to identify with what you're saying. A lot of this that you can do is whenever you have you're doing the research and you go to the comments and you actually copy the word for word what people are saying and create a post about it, they're going to resonate with that because they're going to think that you're reading their mind. So you want to create that connection in some way. And how do you do this? Well, there's personal stories that you can do. You can do behind the scenes. You can do a client struggles. And going back to the wellness client, for example, showing them how, little Samantha, you know, had babies and she doesn't know what to do in the gym. That's something that a lot of moms can resonate with, right? It's like, I've done diets, they don't work. You want people to say, oh my God, that's me. And you want the tone to be relatable. So then once you have that connection, it really allows you to tell people that you understand where they're coming from. Okay. Another example is when I started my business, I thought I had to post 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? A lot of people think like that you need to live on social media, and that's not the case. So that's an example of that connection content that you can create. Another one is an authority content, right? The purpose is to teach, to challenge the assumptions, to position you as the expert. And some of the formats that include in here are tips, frameworks, myths, stats, behind the scenes information, okay? So for example, 3 types of workouts you can do in 5 minutes per day. That's something that's going to resonate with people, and it's going to show you like authority because you're there. Now, another one is 3 types of content that you need every week to grow without ads. That's going to show you that, oh my God, this is great. I can do this, right? And then we go into the offer content to move them deeper to a conversion without pressure. So these are testimonials, mini wins, behind the scenes of working with you, and soft call to actions. So it's not one thing over the other because all of these are important, right? But everything works together when you post different things at different times and when you hear from your customers so that you can back up the claims with viral content research. So I hope that made sense because we're going to go into what are some examples of each type. And here I added obviously the case study example as well. So the connection content is more about how can we get them to connect with us? Because if people can connect with you, you're going to be successful. So here's an example. When I started my business, I thought I had to post 24/7. So again, we're having that relatability by sharing a personal experience. Okay. And here's the authority content, the 3 types of content you need to every week to grow without ads, 3 types of workout that you can do for 5 minutes a day to demonstrate expertise. Then we go into the offer, how one client used this specific framework and booked 2 calls last week. Want me to walk you through it? DM me content. Okay. And again, this is guiding the potential clients towards taking action without being pushy or salesy. It's attraction marketing because they're coming to you because they see you that you have something for them. And here's a case study example. A freelancer designer came to me after months of inconsistent client work. We implement a mini content system, and within 10 days of posting, She booked 3 discovery calls, which two of them turned into paid projects. So building credibility by showing real results, making your offers feel safe, proven, and worth exploring. Okay. So these are examples that you can use. And I'm going to go into how do you create the content next so that we can come full circle with this. Okay. And I'm going to leave time for that because that's going to be I think the most important part of this class. So let's bring it all together, okay? And we're gonna validate these points with research, and I'll show you how that works. So first, we're gonna pick an idea, okay? Let's say we pick an idea. You don't need more content. You need the right message. So this idea came from what people are saying in different groups, in comments and things like that, right? Then we're going to create a connection post, a story. And if you guys don't know what a story is basically going into, it's only for 24 hours. And a lot of these platforms have it. Facebook, it's Instagram, Snapchat is all about stories. So for example, a story is I used to post every day and get nothing but crickets. That's something that's going to resonate with people, right? Because a lot of times when people post things, nobody comments and stuff. So the angle is about being honest, emotional, and relatable. Here, then we're going to create an authority post. 3 reasons your content isn't converting and how to fix it. And you can add structure with bullets or a framework or something like that. That's going to, again, going from idea to connection to authority. And then we're going to finish it with an offer. This is the exact system I use with my clients. Want help in creating yours? DM me the word system and we'll get to work. So you're taking one type of idea and you're breaking it up into different types of posts so that you can continue to share this. And this can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be just in social media. From this, you might even take it to an email as well. So you're going to adapt one version into an email or a LinkedIn post. And then you can have quick tips on the platform tone differences. For example, in Instagram, you can be a little bit more punchy because with Reels, you have to be more punchy. In LinkedIn, obviously, you have to be more formal. And email is more about conversational. So it's all about finding what is the right tone so that you can get to the idea. So again, remember, this is all about building your mini content system, right? And we're taking that idea, turning it into a lead in 60 minutes. Now I told you, what does it look like? What are some of the things that I need to look out for, right? And now we're going to go how this looks like in real life, okay? So I'm going to show you a video. There's no sound. I'm going to talk through it so that you guys can understand kind of what, like how this looks like. Okay. So let's say we're a career coach, okay? So the first step is obviously listening to your audience, right? And we mentioned that we have this idea. People are always looking to improve their resumes, but they're not sure what are some of the things that I need to put in my resume, or what are some of the things that I that I should be having and mentioning in sections and stuff like that. So if we wanted to, we're going to create our mini content system with this idea, right? Now, we're going to go into check what are some of the videos that are out there. This is a screenshot of Instagram that I did a couple of days ago. And I was looking to see what are some of people looking for when it comes to resumes. Now, if you look here, these views, right? This is 183,000, 2.5 million, 18.6 million. So that's a lot of views for a video. And that's 30 to 45 seconds long. So the keyword that I'm using is actually correct because people are looking for ideas, for information about improving the resume on Instagram. Again, this is not even LinkedIn. LinkedIn is B2B. Instagram is everything, right? So anything that can show kind of like a process or doesn't have to be necessarily artistic. So we talked in the first class, where do you go? Well, Instagram right now is great for services. So you can do this in other platforms as well. There's a lot of keywords that you have to just put in here. So that's why I just picked resume so that I can show you the process of validating that idea. So once I saw that there was a lot of videos, there were a lot of videos that had a lot of views, and I referenced it about 100,000 to a million or more when you have multiple videos with one keyword. If I would have done resume building, maybe I would have gotten there, but resume seems to be the right keyword, okay? So I picked that one because it had 3 million views, and I know I'm in the right track. I know that people are looking for this. It's one thing, remember the story I told you about building an incredible tower, but if people don't want to use it, then they're not going to buy anything, or they're not going to want to find it, or they're not interested in it. So 3 million views, it tells me that that this video was important for people. It tells me that this is what people wanted to see. And in here, we have the hearts, which are the likes, 36,000 likes, almost 300 comments. And this one is incredible, 22,000 shares, which the shares really tell you a lot about the video, okay? Excuse me. So what are some of the guidelines, right, that you should be looking for when it comes to doing the research? At least 300,000. So don't look for videos that are not more than 300,000 because it hasn't been validated yet. So at least 300,000 views and at least 3,000 likes. So if it has one or the other, you're good to go. So in this case, our friend made it. So that's why we're taking this to validate our idea of resume for our career coach. Notice that, so we found the video and he's talking a lot about, here's a script that you can use for that. The subtitles are there. There's also this right here. The format that we're looking for is, look, the little giveaways here at the top of the video. The subtitles are there. So it's giving us what to do, right? So that it can start strong. So basically is information that people are looking for, and we're looking at the format and how he recorded this so that it can, again, sentence 1, sentence 2, sentence 3. So we found our video, okay? Now we're going to go into download the video because we want to get the transcript. And the transcript is important because we're going to use AI to, number one, download the transcript, and we can analyze the transcript as well. Okay, so step 2 is to download. You can do this with Snap Insta and other tools. And this is called Capwing. This is a tool that I use to generate transcripts, and I pay for this, but there's thousands of there out there. You just have to Google, generate transcript. Also, Descript is free for the first, I think, a few projects. So you can take a video, upload it to Descript, or this is Capwing or another tool, and be able to get the transcript from that video. And this is not my video. I don't even know this guy, but this is the way that we do the research to validate what we have been thinking about posting. We're not posting from our mind. Remember, we're posting based on what the market wants to see and wants to share. Okay. Let's keep watching. So here I'm taking the transcript, right? And then once I take the transcript, I'm going to reuse that to use as inspiration. I want to make one thing clear. I don't take other people's content and reuse them. I take other people's content and be inspired by them, because if this guy is doing this video and we say the same exact thing, it's going to come out differently from other people. But I don't take his work and apply it to me. Like, you don't want to do that. You want to be inspired by what he's saying, and we're going to rewrite it in a different way. So here's my tool. Here's the transcript. Again, this is where I got it from for Snap Insta. I just upload it into Capwing and I get the transcript. And then I'm downloading it. And here it is. I'm copying the transcript. And then I'm going to go to ChatGPT. This works with ChatGPT, or this works with Claude. There's a lot of different AI tools that you can use. So I'm asking ChatGPT to rewrite this transcript in a different way to make it sound more motivating. So that's what I mean about taking somebody else's inspiration. We're taking his content, but we're not we're not saying the same thing that he's saying because we're changing it up a bit. It's about finding what works and fitting it in for us because we're already validated the idea. And now we're taking the idea to bring it into us, but we're rewriting it to sound more motivating because my account is more motivating than his or whatever the case may be. Okay. And boom, we have our script. In a second, obviously oh, look, motivating and entertaining. So whatever you can tell ChatGPT is going to be different than what you get. And boom, I have my script, okay? And I can just go in there and create this and create my video. The way that you do that, you can have a teleprompter or you can read one sentence at a time, but it's a very simple process. If you've ever used a phone to take a picture, you can certainly record a video like this, just looking at the camera, okay? And this is where everything starts, all right? Now we have our script for our reel, correct? Now we're gonna take this and we're going to reuse what we have because now it's ours, right? So this is where it gets really interesting. We're going to repurpose it. We're going to repurpose it into different types of mediums. Like in this case, we're going to write an email. And I'm telling ChatGPT to pretend that I'm a career coach so that we can have this script as an email. And if you notice, this is a little bit more straight, let me be straight with you. This is not how you start a reel, right? When you start a reel, you need to have a hook that's going to bring people in because they don't know you. But when it comes to an email, it's a little bit different because they already know you. It's a more private conversation. So this is an email that you can just copy and paste. And there we go. We already have one piece of content that took us a few minutes to create. Okay. And here's the information that, we're going to continue with ChatGPT. We're going to use that same topic and we're going to write an article. Here's a compelling article written in my voice for a career coach. And it's, again, educational and motivating because that's the whole topic of it. That's the tone. And then it's going to give me another thing. So anytime you can ask ChatGPT to rewrite it in different things for different posts. So here it is. This is the article, why the professional summary is your secret weapon. Whereas before we were just talking about the professional summary as a one sentence thing. And now it's a little bit more in detail than an email and more in detail than a reel. So this is our article. You can copy and paste this in your Substack or whatever it is. And then we can adopt this for a carousel post. So we've already established so much, right? We did, just pause it for a second. We created a script for a reel that all you have to do is record yourself with a phone and put some subtitles. You can do those with AI, with CapCut, with Capwing, some top things at the top, like we saw at the beginning of the video with some sentences that he wants to make sure that the most important thing gets through to people. Then we went into ChatGPT and we already created an email for our audience. Then we created an article for our Substack or for our blog, wherever it is. And now we're creating carousel post with 6 slides. So and then you can just copy and paste. There's so many templates out there with Canva and things like that, that you just copy and paste. And it's still something that it's so valuable because you really validated this. So here's my carousel post, slide 1, slide 2. It tells you exactly what to put in there. Excuse me. And then all you have to do is create it, obviously, but if you have a template, it's very easy to do that. You can even continue. I stopped the video at this point, but you can even continue with conversion with Canva in order to create this. So we just took an idea, right, from before. If you go back to the slides, we picked an idea, right? We created a connection post in a way. We created some type of authority post because we're giving them information. It was all about probably authority, but it also can connect because sometimes people don't know what to post or what to put in the resume. So in this case, we created from one video, we created multiple types of content, okay? If you guys remember at the beginning how I was explaining how the content doesn't work for people, it's because they came from their mind. If I'm a career coach, sometimes I know what people want, but sometimes I need to validate it. So the creation phase comes after the fact. It doesn't come right away. So we started with the idea, then we researched it, and then we found specific types that resonate with people. And here's the demo, right? So how do you make this sustainable so that you can keep using it? That's really the $1,000,000 question, right? Because it's not just going back, doing this once and then expecting to get millions of views. Even though that video got 3 million views, we need to train the algorithm to know that this is the type of content that I'm using. So a very important thing that you want to do is to continue to do the research in your account, because the more things you see about that topic that you're interested in, the more that Instagram or the Facebook or LinkedIn or anything is going to know that that's what you're interested in. So if your profile is about watching dogs and you have the same profile to create resume videos and career advancing and cover letters, the algorithm is going to be confused because they're not going to know what you're interested in. They're not going to know that they're going to see viral things that are dogs, and they're going to see viral things that are resumes that you're watching, but it's not going to allow you to grow because you need to pick one lane and stay in that lane. If you have a lot of searches that are not about what you're talking about, then the algorithm is not going to allow you to grow. That's just how it works. So make different accounts for different types of content that you're interested in, and create it a habit to pick, again, one idea every Monday and plan 3 content types. Start with just 3. The idea is for you to post as much as possible. That's a question I always get. For this to work, how long do I have to post? And the answer is as much as you can, because if you're consistent and you post every day, you're going to be better off than just posting once a week. Once a week is not going to cut it. So pick one idea every Monday and plan 3 content types at least. Batch create the content. If you realize, we didn't just do one thing and then we left. We didn't just do the script and then say, okay, I'll do the rest later. We're batching everything together so that you can do everything at once and you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't have to be pretty. You can do a voice note with your rough ideas. If you see something that you like and it's the middle of the night and you don't have a way to write it down or have your sticky notes, just create a voice note so that you can make sure that you go back to it. Schedule it in your calendar. Schedule a time where you're going to implement the strategy, because if you don't, then you can forget about it. And all of a sudden Friday comes around and, oh my God, what did I post? What did I do? Right? And focus on the value, not the virality. You don't need to go viral. You just need to stay visible and valuable. And I'm going to tell you a story about that. So even if you don't have a lot of followers or millions of followers, um, people think that it doesn't work, and that's not the case. Even if you have a few followers, nowadays the algorithms are shooting out the content to people that are not even followers. So for example, I started an account that I only have 44 followers. I started in like 3 months ago, and I have a few videos that have thousands of views. How does that happen? Well, it happened because the algorithm knows the content that I'm posting and it's sharing it with people that are not my followers. So, and this is also in TikTok. This is everywhere. All of the algorithms work similarly because they want you to stay in the platform. That's their goal. So if you provide content that is interesting for people, that people want to see, you're good, because that's how people stay in the platform. Okay. So when you focus on the right metrics, like for example, views, likes, comments, shares, you're going to see that your content is being shared and seen by a lot of people. And it goes back to the strategy. What is the goal? Is the goal to mention in the video, to share the video and to share the article? What is the strategy? To get them on a call with you? That has to be very clear. Okay. So what are your next steps? Well, I have told you, I've shown you a practical system that takes maybe 10 minutes to create a content that really converts. You have to remember that consistency is key. And if you implement what we've learned today, you're going to see how your content is going to start generating real leads. So it's basically doing the research, getting the idea, and going back to see what worked for other people that are your competitors, but going back to what it is that you want to share. Now, if you let's say you're a dog walker, and if you talk a lot about babies and you talk a lot about different things that don't match, remember, you don't want that. You want to make sure that you talk about the content that is important, that people are going to resonate with. Be consistent, okay?